He was here last year. He was a great success.
Address a fundamental theme in our society, the future of inclusion, highlighting the entrepreneurial strength of Brazilian favelas. What are the challenges and opportunities faced by favelas? How can entrepreneurship serve as a path for social and economic mobility? How can we foster a culture of entrepreneurship in favelas, including access to capital, training, and guidance, social and economic inclusion in Brazil? Answering this and other questions is Celso Ataide from Favela Holding and CUFA. Celso founded CUFA, a social organization present in 5,000 favelas throughout the country, and Favela Holding, a group of 20 companies whose central objective is to develop favelas and the rest, fostering entrepreneurship in these territories. He won the Impact and Innovation Entrepreneur of the Year from the World Economic Forum. Então, por favor, recebam com muitas palmas Celso Ataide. Vou pegar o casaco. Desculpa.
Você vai entrar já? Ei, Celso.
Estou pronto.
Está pronto? Boa tarde, pessoal. Prazer muito grande poder estar aqui com vocês. Eu sou Paulo Pimenta, sou gaúcho, sou jornalista e hoje tenho a honra de ser ministro da Secretaria das Comunicações do governo do presidente Lula. E agradeço muito a oportunidade de poder estar aqui com vocês. A gente está muito feliz de Porto Alegre poder estar sediando esse momento tão importante para a inovação. Hoje o mundo inteiro está olhando para nós e nós temos essa oportunidade. O Celso, gente, é um camarada que eu conheço há muito tempo e eu fico feliz de estar aqui com ele, não só porque eu gosto dele, mas, recentemente, o Celso foi escolhido no Fórum Mundial de Davos como o Prêmio Empreendedor de Impacto e Inovação do Ano no Fórum Mundial. O Celso, que fundou a CUFA, hoje coordena uma experiência inédita no mundo inteiro. É a única holding das favelas. Várias empresas que estão fazendo a diferença, fazendo negócios e mudando a vida de muita gente. Por isso, nada melhor que a gente poder ouvir o Celso e conhecer um pouco daquilo que a CUFA e esse ecossistema de empresas, de iniciativas que a CUFA criou e conhecer um pouco do que vocês estão fazendo. É um orgulho, uma satisfação estar aqui contigo, Celso.
Bem, pessoal, boa tarde para todas e para todos. O tempo aqui é bem curto, na verdade, e a minha contribuição aqui é falar um pouco dessas oportunidades que tem. Quando eu vejo eventos como esses aqui, que são eventos importantes.
Bit about events like these ones, international events such as this. Important and imponent events like this. I was born in a favela, and I lived there up to 6, and then I lived on the streets from 6 to 12. And then I went back after I was 14 to a favela. When I was 15, I was already partner of 2 multinational companies. So as a street salesman, I used to sell Adidas and Nike. So I joke I was their partner. So from there, I worked on many initiatives. Today, I give speeches in in Harvard and other economic forums. And my participation in the last economic forum was because, I received this prize. And from April to June, we're going to have a participation in Cannes, covering the participation and the work we have in favelas. So I like to so people usually think about favelas as a poor community of people in need. And usually this relation, refers to this people as, someone that is less than you. So one thing is to have low income. The other thing is to be poor. So favelas nowadays in Brazil produce 212 billion reais a year is what we put in the economy. And even so, the statistics say that, favelas are a place where broken people are together in economic disadvantage. But today, favelas represent a population of 18 million people. If you turn the favelas into a state in Brazil, will be the third biggest in economy and population. So if you ask any enterprise, any company, and to a country like Paraguay or Colombia, for example, any company would like to go there in this expansion plan. But in reality, if we unite all favelas in Brazil together, we would consume more than Paraguay, Bolivia, Peru. So the potential of favelas are great, and they have as a main characteristic is innovation. So we have created Expo Favela 2022 last year in São Paulo. And there were 33,000 people there with 20,000 startups participating. And we know that this year, we're going to have the same event in 21 states. And it's going to happen here in Porto Alegre as well. So it's going to be a unique experience of having a national favela event. So what we cannot do nowadays is to have the same opportunities in the same context, right? So at a favela, people don't even call themselves entrepreneurs. So they say, I'm hustling, but they don't refer to themselves as an entrepreneur. So if you use the word match, like matching, people context, in a favela is a different thing. So Celso, I think it's good for people to know a little bit better. Just so you have an idea, we have different policies in terms of services in the federal government, in terms of services and publicity. And in the past, they would only work in traditional media. And most of them only on TV, open TV channels. So for example, if people that are watching cable channel would be exposed to an announcement about a new social program or perhaps a new vaccination campaign. So we have nowadays a partnership with CUFA that we utilize nowadays even sound cars driving around the neighborhood to mobilize the community to such vaccination programs and such social programs to generate awareness. So there's another experience that we utilize is outdoors. So Natura, for example, which have helped and supported, and the entire distribution of those companies goes through CUFA and many other businesses tackling this big potential that Celso mentioned, that offer huge opportunities to many startups as well. So in 2015, we started doing that. I've always been an entrepreneur, but I didn't know that I was that because I didn't call myself that. And I realized that KUFA had social actions, was important, it's still important. During the pandemics, we mobilized over R$1 million in food for the needy. So thinking about how we would gather resources, thinking about the entrepreneurship in the basis of the pyramid, I think about boosting businesses in favela as a way of generating income to those people, but also to tackle inequalities as you generate wealth to that favela. So in 2015, I moved from KUFA and I created Favela Holding. So the initiatives of KUFA are now full business. So nowadays we have 27 companies, like travel companies, for example, where we have over 500 travel agencies inside favelas. We have today Favela Log, for example, which is a logistics company within the favelas. Other, partnerships with companies like Natura, Amazon, because they have certain difficulties entering those territories. So we take care of that. So there's a company within KUFA that hires ex-inmates. So it's a social change initiative as well. So there are many developments that we conduct within the favela. Or for example, we have soccer players, soccer clubs supporting. So for example, we have Favela Coach, where young youths in the favelas, learn how to code, and it's really difficult to mobilize these people to utilize the platform we have developed to use the initiatives. So Holding is a very important initiative to unite all these initiatives. And the Holding outdoor. Imagine publicitary, outdoors, common outdoors. So think about the government, for example, or a state-owned bank to conduct a marketing campaign, but not utilize the media that is more recurring and used in such communities. So for example, on TV, you use certain characters and artists that may not have credibility within the community, this community of over 18 million people. So what's the importance of the community leaders in these campaigns to clarify state programs and other national programs, government programs? So when you consider a company, for example, a company that would like to work or to communicate with Black people, and then you choose a Black person, a Black actor, to promote your product to those Black people. But this company doesn't realize that even Black people are different. So you got to choose the right person. You have people with many perspectives, and they don't even think the same way. So there are some criteria that you should consider in order to accommodate all these views in your specific initiative. So communication is really important, and the brands don't communicate well. And in favelas as a whole, they don't want to be evangelized by brands. They want the best version of their own reality. So nowadays, people have access. Globalization is there, internet is there, the information is open. We have, small projects there. which is a competition of digital games. And imagine in one match that are over 1 million people watching this gaming competition. So how can you communicate to those youth? How can you influence their parents at home? Think about that. So how did you work during the pandemics, considering that many kids would have to access, the educational materials online while their families did not have, appropriate internet connection or computers, the equipment. So how was the digital problem tackled during the pandemics? So the main difficulty was that 50% of the people who live in favelas work informally, have a lower income, and they're the ones who are going to suffer more. So everything they produce, they consume. They don't have extra resources. So there's another problem that was natural and obvious to us. As the Ministry of Education made content available online to the kids, there was an access problem. So we created a telephone company within our holding, providing free telephone or free cell phone connection to the mothers so they can help the kids to access the educational content. And that allowed the mothers to start to become entrepreneurs as well, because now they had access, internet access and telephone access. So talking about Bolsa Familia, which is a state social program. So they have now many benefits, for example, for pregnant people. For pregnant people, and this money, the money they earn through Bolsa Familia now, can help them in their lives in favelas. Oh, it doesn't only help, that's fundamental. It's all over the world when some tragedies happen, like, for example, air companies, the state helps, such companies. But it's also responsibility of the government to even out the inequalities within other sectors as well. So it's a way the state has to feed the population with more resources, money in the case, so the population can consume other products and spend and make the ecosystem and the economy to circulate. So the money from Bolsa Familia circulates in the community. Yes, I had a debate, a very strong debate in the past. Because companies in the past had a little prejudice about giving money to people from favelas. So when you give food, for example, to these people, there's some products that they really need and they don't receive. So for example, hygiene products is an example, but when rather than giving, food, you give money, they buy whatever they really need. And that money, so what you're saying is that money actually circulates within the community, so they buy from the family store within the favela and not, yes, sure, that's the case. So they use that money within the community. So the favela ecosystem is then fed with that money. Money remains in the favela, circulates the economy. So thank you, Celso, very much. Thank you for the work of CUFA. I'm very happy to be here, my brother. Well, in reality, we still have 20 seconds. And my satisfaction of being here is really big, and I want to give you a little. So think about Expo Favela will be here. Is a way we have to unite asphalt and favela, because there's no way for us to bridge inequality unless we are together, we work together. All the wealth the favela produces. All right, thank you very much. So a little moment for